I'm Marcus, 28 years old, and apparently the only one in my family who still believes in honesty and basic decency. I work in IT, the kind of job where you don't really log off, just shift tabs between spreadsheets and life. For the last 5 years, I've lived in the same modest apartment about 30 minutes from my parents' place. And for just as long, I've been the guy who shows up when the Wi-Fi's down, the fridge is making a weird noise, or someone forgot to pay the electric bill and needs a last-minute Venmo to keep the lights on. I never complained, not really. I figured that's what family did. We helped each other out. That all changed over one dinner. It was a Sunday, the usual roast chicken, mismatched dishes, and the smell of lemon-scented pledge lingering from Mom's frantic cleaning spree. I was sitting at the table with my parents, my brother Sean, my Aunt Lena, and a few cousins. The kind of dinner where everyone talks over each other, and you smile more out of habit than joy. I'd been working late all week, barely sleeping, but I was excited for one reason: the trip. We'd been planning a family vacation to Greece for months. I chipped in $2,300 to help cover booking costs, flights, group accommodations, even a rental van my dad insisted would be more practical than taxis. My mom had mentioned it'd be a chance to reconnect. Just the core family, she said. Like old times. So, when there was a lull in conversation, I smiled, leaned in, and said, "I'm so excited for the trip next week. I've been counting down since we booked it." The room went quiet. Not the kind of quiet that comes before someone laughs at a joke. The kind that feels like the lights have gone out and nobody's telling you why. Sean looked at me and chuckled under his breath. "You're joking, right?" he said, nudging his fiancée like I'd just told the world's worst punchline. "We got back yesterday." I blinked. "What?" My mom put her fork down slowly. "Sweetie." That was all she managed to say before Aunt Lena, clearly trying to change the subject, pulled out her phone. "Oh, the photos turned out so well," she said, scrolling through her gallery like it wasn't happening. She turned the screen toward me, and there it was, a sun-drenched family smiling on a cliff in Santorini. Everyone was there. My parents, my brother and his fiancée, Aunt Lena, and Uncle Derek. Even the twins, who supposedly couldn't get time off school. Everyone, except me. I sat there for a second, heart hammering, brain trying to make sense of it. I remembered the last group chat update, 2 weeks ago, where my mom said, "Still finalizing dates. We'll loop back this weekend." I'd followed up twice after that. No response. I assumed they were just busy. I pushed my chair back. Slowly. Deliberately. No one stopped me. No one said a word. Not even Sean, who muttered something that sounded like drama queen as I walked past. I drove straight home. Didn't even change out of my dress shirt. I sat on the edge of my bed for what felt like hours, staring at nothing. I wasn't sad, not at first. Just empty. You ever have a moment where you realize everyone you thought was in your corner had quietly stepped away, and you didn't even notice? That was me, right then. I kept replaying little things. Mom telling me she'd let me know the final itinerary. Dad calling me, the reliable one, when he asked for my card to finish the booking. Sean brushing off questions about the travel dates with a vague, "I think Mom's got it." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat in silence and let the numbness settle in like dust. The next morning, I went through my finances. I hadn't really looked at how much I'd been covering over the past year, but it hit me hard. Rent money for Sean, just for 2 months. A new fridge for my parents when theirs went out. Groceries, easily $200 a month. All those "will pay you back" promises that turned into jokes. I realized I'd been the family safety net, and they hadn't even thought I was worth an invitation. I didn't go to work that Monday. I called in and took a sick day, not sick in the usual way, but emotionally disoriented. I sat with a spreadsheet and made a list. Everything I'd paid. Every account where my name was tied to theirs. Netflix. Family phone plan. Even the car insurance I was still subsidizing because it's cheaper under one policy. Then I started cutting. By Wednesday, the Netflix account password had changed. By Friday, the group phone plan was split. I transferred my number out and let the rest lapse. Insurance? Canceled. I'd warned them in writing. No one responded. I closed the joint emergency fund I'd created when Mom had her knee surgery. All $5,700, mine. I even froze my Zelle and PayPal accounts so they couldn't accidentally request money again. The only time anyone reached out was Saturday morning. Mom called once. I let it go to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. The next family dinner came and went. I didn't show. Neither did my usual grocery delivery. Then, exactly 1 week later, Sean showed up at my apartment. I heard the knock and checked the peephole. There he was, standing with that same smirk he always wore when he thought he had the upper hand. "Dude," he said, the moment I opened the door. "You're seriously blowing this out of proportion. It was a last-minute thing. We didn't think you'd be able to go." I stared at him. "You told me the trip was next week. I helped pay for it." He rolled his eyes. "You make good money. You don't even go out much. What's the big deal? You're acting like we betrayed you or something." I didn't answer. Just stood there. He huffed. "Whatever. Mom's freaking out. She says you're acting cold. Just come over, eat some chicken, and pretend it didn't happen like the rest of us." That was the moment something snapped inside me. A kind of calm, measured fury I didn't know I was capable of. But I didn't lash out. I didn't yell. I simply said, "Tell her I'm busy. Like you all were when you boarded that plane." And then I shut the door in his face. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages. First from Mom. A long text with passive-aggressive guilt buried between faux-concerned lines. "We didn't want to stress you out. You've always seemed so tired lately. We thought you'd appreciate the quiet time instead." Then came Dad, trying his usual no-nonsense tone. "We needed someone here in case of emergencies. Someone had to be the responsible one." That one made me laugh bitterly, as if I'd volunteered to be the family watchdog while they drank ouzo by the Aegean Sea. Then Aunt Lena chimed in with a group message. "We all thought you knew. It was a misunderstanding, Marcus. Don't make this into something it's not." I didn't respond. Not a single word. Instead, I spent the rest of the day doing what I should have done years ago. I dug up every account, every joint login, every payment plan I'd ever been talked into. You'd be amazed how deep the web goes when you're the dependable one. My name was on the backup credit card for my parents' emergency dental expenses. I was the guarantor on Sean's first car loan, the one he crashed 3 months later, then dumped into my lap with a "You're good at paperwork. Can you figure it out?" I'd been their fixer, their safety net, their invisible punching bag. That night, I pulled out the old fireproof folder I kept under my bed. Inside, copies of receipts, canceled checks, emails confirming bookings, screenshots of unpaid balances. I opened a fresh Google Drive folder and uploaded everything. Every transaction, every date, every lie, and I labeled it all. The vacation fund. It wasn't about exposing them, not yet. But it was my own way of documenting just how long I'd been taken for granted. Proof that I wasn't imagining things, like Mom loved to suggest when things got uncomfortable. A few days later, I got a knock at my door. I didn't answer it. I didn't need to. I watched from the peephole as Mom stood there, holding a takeout bag like a peace offering, shoulders hunched like she was carrying the weight of guilt, or just trying to look like it. She stood there for 5 minutes, knocked twice, then walked away. I didn't move. I didn't open the door. I didn't even breathe until the elevator dinged. That night, something interesting happened. I logged into the shared bank app, one used to help manage my parents' utilities. The one I'd given them access to just until they got back on their feet. The one that still had about $6,000 in it. They'd never closed it because they thought I wouldn't notice the little withdrawals. $40 here, $85 there. For household stuff, they'd say. I transferred every cent into a new account under my name, then shut the old one down. Minutes later, I got a call from Dad. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was tight, clipped. "Marcus, what happened to the account? Your mother tried to pay the water bill, and it was declined. This is getting ridiculous. We need to talk." But we didn't talk. Not that night. Not the next. Over the next few weeks, the silence grew louder. I didn't block them, not yet. But I stopped responding. No calls. No texts. No Sunday dinners. The fridge stayed stocked with food I liked. My calendar was no longer filled with last-minute, "Can you help us move this?" requests, or "Can you drive me to the airport?" favors. I reclaimed my time, my peace, my space. But then came the breaking point. The one that really told me they hadn't learned a thing. I got a notification from my credit monitoring service. A new inquiry had been made under my name. From a travel agency. A very specific one, the same one they used for Greece. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. But then I checked my email. There it was, plain as day. A forwarded message chain from Sean. He'd accidentally CC'd me on a conversation with the agency, asking if they could rebook a similar package for the next family trip, and, wait for it, if they could use the same card, Marcus paid with last time. The nerve. The audacity. I stared at the screen for a long time, my jaw tight, my chest cold. That's when it clicked. They never felt guilty. Not really. They missed the convenience of me. The money. The reliability. The buffer I provided between their irresponsibility and reality. So I did what I had to do. I reported the attempted authorization, flagged it as unauthorized use, called the agency, explained that no trip should be charged to that card, ever. Then I froze the card entirely and requested a new one. Next, I logged into my backup Google account, the one no one knew about. I uploaded the vacation fund folder to a private link, and I started drafting something I never thought I'd write. A formal email to every family member. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. Just factual, detailed, calculated. I laid out the timeline of lies. The money, the exclusion, the debt, the expectations. I didn't yell in all caps. I didn't insult them. I just held up a mirror and let them look. But I didn't hit send. Not yet. I wanted them to sweat. Because something else was brewing. Something bigger. A turning point they wouldn't see coming. And this time, they wouldn't just lose my money. They'd lose me entirely. And just as I was deciding how to time that final move, my phone lit up with a call from Aunt Lena. Not a message. A real call. I stared at the screen for a second, unsure why she of all people was suddenly trying so hard to reach me. I answered. Marcus, she said, voice trembling slightly. I think you need to know what your mother just did. I didn't say a word. Your parents just applied for a personal loan. Under your name. I closed my eyes. The storm had finally arrived. And this time, I wasn't just going to weather it. I was going to burn the whole system down. I didn't speak for a solid 10 seconds after Aunt Lena dropped that bombshell. My brain tried to process it, but it was like trying to unscramble a radio signal through static. My mom, my mother, had just tried to take out a personal loan in my name. Not ask for help. Not request a favor. She forged my information, or worse, used credentials I'd given her in confidence. How do you know? I finally managed to ask, my voice flat, almost detached. She asked me to co-sign, Lena said, her voice trembling. She said it was for a family emergency, that you were on board, but your credit wasn't enough alone. Something about consolidating bills, I think. I don't know, it was all fast. Too fast. I got suspicious and called the bank myself. I rubbed my eyes. Pacing the room in slow circles like that would somehow make it less surreal. I shouldn't have been surprised. All the signs had been there. Years of quiet entitlement, veiled insults wrapped in advice, and the unspoken rule that Marcus would clean up whatever mess they made. She actually went to a bank and tried this? I asked again, still needing to hear it out loud. She did. Marcus, Lena said quietly. And when I hesitated, she got cold, like snapping fingers cold. Told me it was none of my business and that I was just making things harder like always. That's when I knew something was off. And then I remembered you weren't even in Greece. I thought, maybe it's time someone actually told you what's really going on. My stomach twisted. Thanks for calling, I said mechanically. I should have done it sooner, she whispered. You deserve better than this. We hung up. I stared at my phone screen until it dimmed, then sat down at my desk and opened the folder again. The vacation fund now had a new section, fraudulent activity. I added Aunt Lena's name, the date of the call, and what she'd said. Then I opened a blank document and started typing a timeline. Every loan, every transaction, every favor they'd forgotten to pay back. I attached screenshots of Zelle requests, Venmo receipts, bank transfers. I had receipts for everything. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about the fact that my mother, the woman who used to hum lullabies while brushing my hair as a kid, who once told me I'd be the glue of this family, had tried to rip me off behind my back, and still expected me to smile at Sunday dinners like nothing happened. That night, I made 2 calls. One to my bank, and another to a lawyer I knew from college who now handled identity theft cases. The kind of guy who didn't blink at family messes. I gave him a basic rundown. He didn't sound surprised. You'd be shocked how often this happens, he said. Especially when your name is tied to your parents financially. They start treating it like their property. You're doing the right thing. Paper everything. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I already have most of it. Good, he said. Now keep going. The next morning, I woke up to 19 unread messages. The first was from my mother. Why did Aunt Lena call you? You don't know the full story. It's just temporary. We were going to talk to you this weekend. Please don't overreact. You're being cruel right now. That last one made me laugh out loud. Cruel? Me? Then Sean chimed in. You're blowing this way out of proportion. You always do this when things don't go exactly your way. Just fix it already and stop acting like a victim. You're embarrassing, Mom. I didn't reply. I archived the messages. Then, like clockwork, my dad emailed me. Not a call, not a text, an email. Subject: let's be adults about this. Marcus, we understand you're upset, but this drama is unnecessary. Families go through things. Mistakes are made. You've always been the mature one. Don't throw that away now. Please call your mother. She's crying. Let's handle this like we used to. Quietly. Privately. Love. Dad. There it was. The same language they'd always used when they needed me to swallow something bitter for the sake of family. But I wasn't that person anymore. I was done staying quiet. Done solving problems I didn't create. I reopened the draft email, the one with the link to the full financial archive. And this time, I added a single line at the top in bold, black font. This is everything. I'm out. But I still didn't hit send, because something else had shifted. A few hours later, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring once. Twice. I almost declined it, but something told me to pick up. Marcus. It was a woman's voice. Polite. Professional. This is Kelly from Summit Lending Group. We just wanted to confirm that you've submitted a formal dispute for a personal loan application made under your name yesterday. I inhaled sharply. Yes, I did. There was a pause. All right. Thank you for verifying. We've flagged the application for internal review, and due to the circumstances, we've temporarily frozen any further loan requests on your credit profile. I do want to let you know that the applicant listed your phone number as a cosigner confirmation contact, so if anyone tries again, you'll be notified immediately. Did she list herself as the applicant? Yes, the woman caught herself. I'm not at liberty to name individuals at this stage, but let's just say you've done the right thing initiating the dispute. Thank you, I said quietly, then hung up. And that's when it all clicked. They thought they'd get away with it. Again, just like they always had. But this time I had leverage, and I was about to use it in a way they'd never see coming. I didn't wait long after the call from Summit Lending. The moment I hung up, I knew the waiting was over. The time for subtlety had passed. I opened the draft email once more, looked at the quiet threat wrapped in polite wording, and realized it wasn't enough. Not anymore. They needed to feel it. Not just the inconvenience of missing Netflix or a bounced water bill. They needed to understand what it felt like to be invisible until needed. To be sidelined, forgotten, used. Then expected to come back with open arms and an open wallet. I took the draft, polished it into something sharper, still calm, still professional, but final. Then I added every recipient. My parents, Sean, Aunt Lena, Uncle Derek, even the cousins who had the audacity to smile in those Santorini pictures, knowing full well I hadn't been invited. I CC'd my lawyer, too, and blind copied myself. Then I pasted the link to the Google Drive at the bottom. Before hitting send, I added a closing line. This isn't about money anymore. This is about respect, the one thing I never got from any of you, even after years of giving everything I had. Don't contact me again unless it's through a lawyer. I clicked send. It was done. For the first time in years, I felt a clean, unshakable peace. The fallout came quickly, faster than I expected. Within hours, my phone buzzed with call after call. I silenced it. When I checked voicemail later, I had 11 new messages. The first 3 were from Mom. Marcus, sweetheart, please. We need to talk. This isn't how families solve things. Marcus, this is your mother. You're being manipulated. Lena's filling your head with garbage. Then one where her voice broke completely. I never meant to hurt you. Please, don't leave us like this. Next was Sean. His tone swung between smug and panicked. Dude, you're nuking the family over a vacation? Grow up. Then, you're a selfish little freak. You always were. Followed by, okay, fine. Just tell me what you want. I'll make it right. The one that stood out came from my dad, surprisingly brief. I underestimated you. I'll admit that now. Just remember this. Bridges don't rebuild themselves. That night, I changed my number. I told my lawyer to move forward with a cease and desist to stop any future attempts to use my information or financial details. He helped me secure an identity theft protection service and walked me through locking down my credit across all 3 bureaus. I also filed a formal report with the FDC and submitted a statement of fraud with the bank. It turned out Mom had used my social security number, likely from an old W-2 I once left at their house years ago. It was identity theft. There was no dancing around it. And there were consequences. About 3 weeks later, my lawyer forwarded me a notice. The bank had denied the loan application permanently and opened a fraud inquiry. If the investigation confirmed the details, and it would, there would likely be legal repercussions. Fines, a potential civil case, maybe even criminal charges, depending on how far my parents had gone. I didn't feel guilty. Not for a second. They had always counted on my silence. My restraint. My love. But love without respect is just obligation. And I was done being obligated. As for the rest of the family, Aunt Lena called a week after everything blew up. She sounded tired but relieved. "I'm sorry, Marcus," she said softly. "I should have stepped in sooner. I think I was afraid of shaking things up. But you were right to do what you did." I told her she didn't owe me an apology, just honesty. She promised to stay in touch, but I didn't hold her to it. That side of the family had always followed the same script. Protect appearances, protect the hierarchy, protect the lie. Eventually, I moved. I changed apartments. Took a better job across town. New lease. New neighborhood. New life. Nobody knew the address except a few close friends and, eventually, Aunt Lena. The air felt lighter there, like I'd finally stepped out of someone else's expectations and into my own. The silence was beautiful. No last-minute phone calls about broken air conditioners. No emergency transfers for unforeseen expenses. No guilt-laced invitations to fake Sunday dinners. Just quiet. But I didn't just disappear. I made sure they felt it. 3 months after everything unraveled, I got an email from Sean, the first message I'd received since changing my number. Subject: the drive folder. "Marcus, we got the lawyer's notice. The damage is worse than you think. Mom is depressed. Dad's furious. The house might have to be sold. The loan they tried to take out was tied to refinancing plans. Now their credit's shot. Thanks to you, none of us can move forward right now. I hope you're happy. Sean." I read it once. Then again. Then I opened my reply window and wrote exactly 6 words. "You said I wasn't invited. Goodbye." Then I hit send. After that, nothing. No calls. No letters. No more half-baked apologies. Just silence. And in that silence, I found something I'd never had while living under their roof or financing their chaos. Freedom. Real, unshakable freedom. Not the kind you announce on social media or put in a diary, but the kind that settles deep in your bones. The kind that tells you you're not crazy, not bitter, not broken. You're just done. And finally, for once, they're the ones who have to sit in it. Not me.
Thank you for watching the entire video. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel.